I've been ballin' a shiny black steel jackhammer, been chipping up rocks for the great highway. I live 5 years if I take my time, ballin' that jack and drinking my wine. I've been chipping them rocks from dawn till doom, while my rider hide my bottle in the other room. Doctor say better stop ballin' that jack. If I live 5 years, I'm gonna bust my back. Yes, I will. Easy win, cross the bayou today. 'Cause there's a whole lot of women, mama, out in red on the streets today. And the river keeps a talking, but you never hear a word it say. Try to serve me tea. Cause I'm a stone jack baller and my heart is true, and I give everything that I got to you. Yes, I will. Easy win, going across the bayou today. But you never hear the word it say.
Unmuted. Give me a 5x5. Rolling today, coming in with a little Grateful Dead, Easy Wind. Bob Weir channeling Jim Morrison. There's some Doors undertones in that little tune. I like that tune. All right, we have sound. Let me kill that. Sweet. Everybody relax. This isn't going to go on for long. I'm going to talk about Merb very briefly. I caught a replay of a live he did, I think last night. Oh my God. Merb got a dose of the COVID. He's a little on the sickly side. He did even out toward the end of the broadcast voice wise. So, we're wishing Merb improved health here at codedfriend.001. We hope he gets better. We love Merb. We really do love Merb here. The inside group loves Merb. Merb is apparently still a little tripped out on the definition I gave of alcoholism. I will address Merb's last night remarks down the road a piece when he's a little more healthy, a little healthier instead of a little more healthy. I also think he needs a little time to process. There were two tracks he could have followed in that argument. He could have just stayed on the rational side, which is where Merb excels. That's why Merb's a lawyer. The law is codified. If you're trained in it, coming from the outside in, it looks complicated. It looks difficult. There's language things you have to learn. There is lawyer speak. Every professional group has its own set vocabulary that differs from the way the general population define or understand things. There were two tracks Merb could have taken. Merb could have stayed on the rational side and just dealt with the numerics of the information I gave. I did define serving size. Merb must have missed that somewhere. I'll go back and do that. I'm 100% sure I never said Merb was an alcoholic, and the reason I'm going to put it off for a little bit is I want to go back and I'm going to listen through the broadcasts that I did in that time vicinity, and I'm going to make sure I didn't say it. So if I did say it, I'll pull the clip and, I'll apologize to Merb. It seems to have hit a nerve with him. If I didn't say it, no apology will be coming. Let me get rid of this. I'm going to take a look at Dil-Dan and the WNN obsession, which is now turned into kind of a refried chili thing. I've said it in the past, and I think it's still true today. Chile has learned over the past year. Chile made some big fucking blunders last year. That's what made him so interesting to cover. Chile wasn't a NASCAR 500 car pileup, but Chile was that driver that was on the course that was, bumping fucking cars around, and everybody was waiting for that big fucking accident to happen, and it never really happened. Chile today is a mildly different animal than he was a year and a half ago. He's a little more cautious. I think he's learned from his mistakes, and I believe Merb said it last night. There's a lot of shit that I agree with Merb on. I really don't want to be at odds with Merb, so I'll figure out how to fucking fix that up. And if I got to eat a piece of crow pie I don't deserve to eat, I'll eat the fucking piece of crow pie, because I'd rather be interacting with Merb on a positive level than the shit that's going on the last week or two. My goal in talking about alcoholism, because I'm looking at people on YouTube that are have substance abuse issues. You got fucking Triggered Limey. You got Miss Mandy. Really good possibility that Frauditor Reaper. You got the glaringly obvious Frauditor Wrangler, who, thank God, Josh is doing the fucking job he's doing covering Wrangler, because I really didn't want to get involved in that shit. I've kept myself a little bit back from it. I probably will have some shit to say in the future about it. But Josh is just fucking nailing it. Josh is fucking nailing it. And then with the info that Tats came up with, and Mystery Solve Sit Theater, you got Wally in the mix. I'm not gonna fucking tease out any information that Wally's not already fucking got. So I'm waiting for those guys. Today we have a hard out at 7:00. Dearmid or anyone in the chat, if I'm still talking at 7. If I'm still talking at 6:45, give me a heads up. I want a hard out. I don't want to overlap Josh. In fact, I want to be over there watching Josh also. Carte Blanche, I DM'd you on, I see you in the real-time chat. I DM'd you on Discord. I gave 2 ideas that I might want you to help me out with. If you didn't see that yet, if you can check that and give me a yes or no if you want to assist. If you don't, I'll move on to look for someone else to pair up in that little literary endeavor. So 7:00 hard out, 6:45. If I'm still talking in the chat, just start posting 6:45. Josh and Wally are going to get together and do a little fact finding, fact revealing, or expose, for lack of a better word, on Kimmy Wrangler, who I think my favorite Kimmy Wrangler reference to date is calling her a bag of pancake batter. It's fucking hilarious. It's, it's an ugly mental image, but it's fucking funny. It really is fucking funny. Hats off to Josh. He's done a good job covering Frauditor Wrangler and keeping the humor alive in that coverage, which helps to, lessen the desire of people to fucking just kook out. So today we're going to start off with, this is the, let me get that up on the share screen. Boom. There we go. This is Dan Has Been Nice. Let's see what happens. Dan is been, B-E-E-N, which would be past tense of be. Dan is been nice. So you have a future tense verb and a past tense. It's almost like somebody doesn't speak English over there. We are at the 2 hour and 4 minute mark. Dan is lambasting Chile about being Chile. What Chile says is an accredited investor. Let me switch this out, bring something different up here. Of course, I was a finance guy, so I know all of this shit. And what Dan presented is not the definition of an accredited investor. It's he took the first statement about accredited investors, and it's not what an accredited. Wow, that's a tongue tie fucking word. Unaccredited. It's what an accredited investor can do. It's not what an accredited investor is. And Dan's research is at the fucking best superficial and very fucking shaky. So this is where Dan pulled what Dan presents as an accredited investor. And I'll just read this to you. The blurb that Dan put up is what is an accredited investor? Oop, let me get rid of that. An accredited investor is an individual or a business entity that is allowed to trade securities that may not be registered with financial authorities. They are entitled to this privileged access by satisfying at least one requirement regarding their income, net worth, asset size, governance status, or professional experience. This is an accredited investor is an individual or a business entity that is allowed to trade securities that may not be registered with financial authorities. They are entitled to no, Dan pretty much just put down the first sentence. That's what an accredited investor can do. That's not what an accredited investor is. An accredited investor is defined in the U.S. The term accredited investor is used by the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, under Regulation D to refer to investors who are financially sophisticated and have a reduced need for the protection provided by regulatory disclosure filings. Accredited investors include high net worth individuals, banks, insurance companies, brokers, and trusts. So, what an accredited individual investor is, and they can be banks, brokers, insurance companies. So they don't have to actually be a person. They have to be an entity identifiable as an individual person, which for all intents and purposes, under the legal code of the U.S., a business is an individual person. Understanding accredited investors. Accredited investors are legally authorized to purchase securities that are not registered with regulatory authorities like the SEC. Many companies decide to offer securities to this class of accredited investors directly because this decision allows companies exemption from registering securities with the SEC, and it can save a lot of money. I did this. Two of my buddies from college and I raised money to start an internet company in the late 90s, early 2000, right after I finished up brokering. We raised initially $2 million. We raised it from the founder of Instinet, which was then the founder sold Instinet to Reuters. He had a net worth in excess of $1 million, well in excess of $1 million. That satisfied the Reg D requirement for accredited investor. He was what we call angel financing. Then there were the gentleman who founded TD Waterhouse has three sons who are identical triplets. One of those individuals invested later on with us to the tune of about $200,000 or $300,000. We then moved to start an actual stock offering, which we had set the amount at $10 million. We had raised $8 million. The broker who was handling it, who was associated with the founder of Instinet, he was inside the company to watch over, how the monies were spent that the initial financer invested with us. So he didn't want to. I wanted to close the offering at $8 million. The broker didn't want to. He wanted to go to 10 because his bonus structure, and he got a good payout at 10 million. He got a much better payout at 10 million than he got at 8 million. So he didn't want to close it out. The internet at the time was in a bubble, and we didn't close it at 8 million. We should have closed it at 8 million. We failed to raise the initial round of capital, and within a year the company was bankrupt. So that's what happens when most startup businesses fail. Most startup businesses fail, and they fail inside of 5 years. If they can make the 5-year mark, their survival rate is much higher. So we needed to raise that money to the round we failed on. We needed to raise that money to buy that 5-year window for us. And we failed at it. So that went by the wayside. But, from being a broker and from having started up a .com internet firm in the late 90s, early 2000s, I know all of this stuff. So what Dan put up as the definition of an accredited investor really is telling you what an accredited investor can do. The firm that I worked for, if Dan had just read down this article a little more, like Dan read the first sentence, and then Dan said, aha, Chile doesn't know what he's talking about. If he had just read the fucking whole article, he would have got to this point where the requirements for an accredited investor are listed. These are the requirements to qualify as an accredited investor. So this is what an accredited investor is by definition. SEC, the blurb Dan puts up isn't really what an accredited investor is. It's what an accredited investor is able to do. This is what an accredited investor is. Requirements for accredited investors. The regulations for accredited investors vary from one jurisdiction to the other and are often defined by a local market regulator or a competent authority. In the U.S., the definition of an accredited investor is put forth by the SEC in Rule 501 of Regulation D. To be an accredited investor, a person must have an annual income exceeding $200,000, $300,000 for a joint income. That would be husband and wife. They have to have had that met those income marks for the last 2 years, with the exception of earning the same or higher income in the current year. So there's an income threshold to qualify as an accredited investor. For an individual, it's $200,000 a year in income. For a husband and wife joint income, it's $300,000 per year for 2 years. An individual must have earned income above the thresholds, either alone or with a spouse, over the last 2 years. The income test cannot be satisfied by showing 1 year of an individual's income in the next 2 years of joint income with a spouse. Dan didn't get into any of this. This is the definition that I used because it's an easier calculation, and because the firm I worked for when I was on Wall Street, this is the regulation we had to adhere to. The income test was not sufficient for the firm. The firm required a person. This is what I operated under when I brokered. A person is also considered an accredited investor if they have a net worth exceeding $1 million, either individually or jointly with their spouse. This amount can not include a primary residence. So when you calculate assets for net worth, you have to exclude your address, your residential address, your home. This is all the SEC's protection for individual investors so that, they don't risk all and wind up fucking broke. You have to exclude your house. So when you calculate net worth, it's a simple accounting equation. Assets minus liabilities equal owner's equity. That would be for a business. The net worth calculation is the same. You take all your assets, you add them up, you get that number. You subtract from that all your liabilities, money owed, money have to be paid. Subtract your what you owe from what you own, and you have your net worth. So if you sold everything you had, paid off all your debts, owed no one anything, whatever's left over, that's your net worth. Go calculate your net worth. A lot of people get scared when they do that. $1 million of net worth, excluding the primary residence, and you qualify as an accredited investor. When I brokered, this was the minimum threshold for the firm I worked for. They wouldn't allow anyone to be acknowledged as an accredited investor in their house unless their net worth was $1 million or more. So a person is also considered an accredited investor if they have a net worth exceeding $1 million, either individually or jointly with their spouse. This amount cannot include a primary residence. The SEC also considers a person to be an accredited investor if they are a general partner, executive officer, or director for the company that is issuing the unregistered securities. An entity is considered an accredited investor. This is not an individual. This is a private business, a privately held business. An entity is considered an accredited investor if it's a private business, development company, or an organization with assets exceeding $5 million. Also, if an entity consists of equity owners who are accredited investors, the entity itself is an accredited investor. However, an organization cannot be formed with the sole purpose of purchasing specific securities. So an accredited investor, it has to do with your income level to qualify or with your net worth to qualify. What Dan puts up is what an accredited investor can do, not really what an accredited investor is. Dan's research fucking blows. And Dan does manipulative shit like this, like present this as though it were what it is. I mean, I know how the wording reads. An accredited investor is an individual or business entity that is allowed to trade securities that may not be registered with financial authorities. That's can do. That's what the individual can do. The definition is for an accredited investor. Actual is based on net worth and based on income level. So Dan screwed the fucking pooch on that right away. Got that completely fucking wrong. That's a year old. That's a year old fucking video, and Dan's had a year to take a look at that. And he presented shit that fucking is kind of stupid. So let's jump to the Dan Has Been Nice episode. And we'll take a little peek at Danny Boy's idea of what an accredited investor is.
Do you know what an accreditor invested? Do you know what an accredited investor means?
Yes.
People that
yes,
you have
I do.
material on?
I do know what an accredited investor means. Want to guess whether Chile knows what an accredited investor is?
How many people here know what an accreditor invested means? Does anybody know what I'm saying? When I say an accredited investor,
material that's got money to sponge off of.
Wrong, Hank.
What does that mean exactly? Does anybody know the answer? Anybody know the answer to what an accredited investor is? Do you know what that means? Anybody?
Shoot on it, Chili.
Anybody know what that means? An accredited investor. Does anybody know what that means? An accredited investor? I didn't shave today. I should have shaved. Does anybody know what that means? Accredited investor. So what that dumb shit Catherine did, that dumb shit, she attacked several accredited investors who have invested money in me. An accredited investor is someone who has over $1 million of worth.
Dan says he's wrong. We just read the fucking definition, which was taken subsequently in an article that you're going to see Dan post the exact wording from paragraph 1. Dan doesn't read shit. Look, I've harped on this from the beginning. If you're going to argue a point, right? If you're going to argue a point, you need to listen to what the person is saying, and you need to counter what is said, not fucking listen for some little thing to object to. What Chile just said, a person with $1 million net worth is an accredited investor. Sorry, Dan, Chile's 100% fucking right on this. And you're supposed to be a big fucking money guy, Dan, and you don't know. You just called Chile out for being correct about what an accredited investor is. Let's see what you say an accredited investor is, Danny Dumbo.
Incorrect. Does not. Doesn't even come close.
So Dan posts, an accredited investor is a person or entity that is allowed to invest in securities that are not registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. Is that not the first sentence from the first fucking paragraph from what I just read? Had Dan read down the whole piece on what an accredited investor is, Dan would have seen that $1 million net worth makes you an accredited investor, and fucking Chile is 100% right here. Dan is fucking wrong. Did Dan not read that whole article? Is Dan that fucking dumb that he just read the first paragraph and said, aha, I've got Chile, and completely missed the fucking meat of the matter, and Chile is right and Dan is wrong? Or did Dan read the whole article and then fucking just blatantly fucking lie to make Chile look like he doesn't know what he's talking about? The very article that Dan quoted this fucking sentence from contains the information 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs down that says a person with $1 million net worth is an accredited investor. Dan is a dumb motherfucker, and he will lie. If Dan's the money guy that Dan says he is, then Dan qualifies as an accredited investor. That's a fucking lie. Dan isn't the money guy. Here's more evidence that shows we know Dan isn't the money guy. If Dan had the lie that Dan has all this fucking wealth, if that were true, Dan would qualify as an accredited investor, but Dan doesn't know what an accredited investor is because Dan is a fucking liar. He lies about everything. He lies when he's wrong to make himself look right. Chile's right, Dan. You're fucking wrong. How dumb does that make you look? Chile is 100% correct when he says that an accredited investor is an individual with $1 million net worth. And when I brokered, we threw the income test out the window, and we would only acknowledge an investor as an accredited investor. The firm I was with would only acknowledge an accredited investor as accredited if they had $1 million of net worth, because you're taking risk when you invest in startups and securities that are unregistered. You're taking a greater amount of risk. So our firm, $1 million net worth or nothing. Chile's 100% right. Dan's definition is the fucking opening paragraph summation of what an accredited investor can do, not really what an accredited investor is. It's bad wording in that article. It's not incorrect. It's just bad wording. That's what an accredited investor can do. What an accredited investor is one who meets the qualifications for accredited investing. And that would be the income test or the net worth threshold. Chile's statement that an individual with $1 million net worth would be recognized as correct in all 50 states and by just about every major brokerage house I'm aware of. Chile's right. Danny's fucking wrong.
There you go. There is literally what an accredited investor is.
Also, looking back at the case files from Court Listener, nothing happened on September 21st, 2022. The
Uh-huh.
next thing in the case was
So from that little fun fact, we're going to jump forward to about the 3-hour mark because there's just straight up chili mocking that goes on, and it just really does a good job about showing how stupid this fucking group is. Earlier in this broadcast, oddly enough, Dan pronounced codedfriend.001, and I think not, he wasn't talking about the total. What the fuck was I just? Wow, I lost that fucking thought. I read one fucking chat by Laura Rader about TED Talk people having to wear teddy bear costumes, and I lost my goddamn thought. Dan had said that codedfriend.001 announced to his audience that we're irrelevant. We're irrelevant. I never claimed to be fucking relevant on any fucking level. So I don't really give a shit about that. But you talk about me an awful lot for someone who's irrelevant, Dan, because you can't, almost all your broadcasts the last fucking couple of weeks, codedfriend.001 comes up, and your fucking listening audience is obsessed with fucking fuck you coded. And you guys, I'm not irrelevant, Dan. And one place I'm super not irrelevant is in your fucking side chat, dude. Your people talk about me constantly. They're over here, Dan. Your core people listen to my broadcasts. You listen to my broadcasts. I hear my phraseology come out of your fucking mouth. I hear you say hilarious the exact way I say hilarious. You're a funny little fuck, dude. You're a pathetic little weasel. You don't have the money you say you have because you don't realize you're a wealthy guy. Wealthy guy, big property holdings. You don't qualify as an accredited investor, Dan. That's why you don't know anything about what qualifies an accredited investor. Dan, I would doubt you have a fucking I would doubt you have any fucking securities holdings, any bonds, any stocks. I would doubt that you have any of that shit. You're a council house living motherfucker, Dan. So this was 4:32. We want to go back there. Let's pick it up at the 3-hour mark. So we're 37 minutes into the period. It's 5:37. We got an hour and 15 to spend with Dil-Dan. Dil-Dan doesn't know what an accredited investor is. You dumb motherfucker, Dan. You a dumb motherfucker. You have reading comprehension issues, Dan. You have listening comprehension issues. You a dumb motherfucker.
Not qualified immunity, Freeman. How fucking stupid are you, bro? How dumb are you? You're dumb enough to say that I battered a woman. You dumb fuck. I battered a woman is a legal term. You dumb shit. You shouldn't have said that. And you said it dozens of times. And then you called me a cop in a community that.
Oh, wait. He doesn't want us to use he battered a woman because that's a legal term. Okay. Hey, Chile, you beat the shit out of a woman.
See, this is the kind of dumb shit you do, Dan. He didn't say he doesn't want anyone to use the term battered. He's intimating. He didn't spell it out for your dim-witted fucking mind. He's intimating by using the term battered, which has a legal definition. He's intimating that James Friedman, the incident with Kate, doesn't fit battered. I mean, right, wrong, otherwise, that's what the argument is. Dan is out in fucking left field again. Dan doesn't even know. Dan would show up at a tennis racket with a tennis racket to a basketball game. Dan doesn't know what fucking game is being played here. So, of course, Dan has the wrong gear, the wrong fucking argument, as always.
Is that a legal term? I don't think beating the shit out of somebody's a legal term, is it?
It's not a legal term, but what you just stated is completely false. Who did Chile beat the shit out of, Dan? This is the shit that you do. You're pronouncing that Chile beat the shit out of a woman. Which woman? Where is she, Dan? Where is she?
No.
Okay, so we're all good.
It doesn't like cops.
Well, didn't you notice he didn't deny beating that he battered the woman? He just said it's a legal term and you can't use that.
He never said you can't use it. You're adding that, Dan. That's what you do. Dan, we've talked in the past, because you've openly talked about it, about your ex-wife who ran you down with your own fucking car. Ran you down, ran you over. Ran you down, ran you over. I would take that as evidence when combined with the other two intimate partners that you've told the fucking world attempted to kill you. Number two stabbed you in the thigh with a kitchen knife from your own kitchen. Not a steak knife, a fucking chef's knife, a meat cutting knife. And then number three, you didn't go into the detail, Dan, about how number three attempted to murder you, but I put forth the proposition that you are you're a harasser, Dan. You're verbally abusive and you're mentally abusive. And this is the game you play. You take things people say, you reword them, you take them out of context, and then you start telling lies about the person. Chile never said he didn't beat the woman. That's your argument now, what he didn't say? Dan, you never said you didn't beat your fucking wife. You never said you didn't beat the woman who stabbed you in the fucking thigh. These are rage acts, Dan. Running a person down with a car is a rage act. Stabbing a person with a knife is a rage act because it's intimate, it's up close, it's personal. It's not, it's not separated by the distance a bullet has to travel. It's right up there. Fucking, you're doing the fucking deed. You're not pulling a gun trigger. You're putting the fucking metal in the fucking thigh. So, and Dan, these are, you have 3 incidents of rage acts against you that almost ended your life, according to you. How mentally abusive were you to these women that they raged out so badly and directed that rage at you? Because this shit you do on Welsh News Network, the murder accusations against Reagan Benson, the day in, day out fucking shit talk about Chile, the majority of it, which isn't even fucking true. This is what you do in your real life. This is why 3 of your intimate partners have attempted to cease your existence. How bad did you abuse these women that they raged on you, Dan? You've never said you didn't beat them, abuse them verbally, mentally. Apply your own logic to yourself, dude. This is about better questions. And if you want to formulate better questions that get to better understandings, any question you pose about another person, you should ask yourself that fucking question first. And make sure, like so many are doing on YouTube, you're not calling people out for the very fucking shit that you do, Dan.
That is true. Good point.
You are one stupid fuck. And then Dale said, there are victims, we're just protecting them. Dale, that's going to cost you $250,000. That comment, going to cost you $250,000. So you better hope those victims all of a sudden come to life. You better hope they decide to come to life and write statements for you. And then if they do, I'll make sure that the whole story comes out about them. Because the truth is, I don't have any victims. I've been blackmailed and put into a corner by people. But the truth is, I just didn't want to have an all-out nuclear war. So that's all.
Bullshit.
That's all.
Bullshit,
That's
Julie.
all. That's all. Hey, if you can get anybody to testify against me that I've actually created a victim out of them, then you won't lose this lawsuit against you.
Hey, Chile, do you know what they could bring into said lawsuit? The court hearings you've had with your victims. Those records can be unsealed by a judge to be admitted into another court and would be allowed.
Huh.
But if you can't,
So Dan, if you were to sue Chile for defamation, and Chile were to put up a defense that you've been systematically harassing and bullying him, wouldn't it be a good idea for Chile to pull the records, the police encounters, the records, all that shit, and have them shown in fucking court to establish that you are a fucking aggressor, a mental abuser, a verbal abuser. You probably don't go to physical abuse, Dan, because you're a pussy. So you torment people instead of getting physical. You're the kind of pussy that pussies look at and say, thank God I'm not a pussy like that fucking Welsh waterhead pussy is.
And by the way, I can't wait because when I'm governor one day, this video will come out and they'll say,
Hey, Brother Ram. Good to see you.
I mean,
yeah, Chile started back on YouTube and TikTok, and a bunch of people decided to defame him. He warned them, and then he sued them and got a bunch of them kicked off social media.
That's not the way it works.
There's that. I mean, you got to understand, there's some people you fuck with, and there's some people you don't. My email is deletelaws@gmail.com. You can reach me there. So you're calling me a rapist? That's great. Where'd you get that information? Where would you have heard of that? Mitten State, what happened to you, beta male? Where'd Mitten State?
Really? Only 350 acres? Small fry.
Gia's really starting to let some fucking perverted shit come out. And that's what usually happens when you hang around with perverts, and then you start to get comfortable about the perversion because you're surrounded by perverts, and then you start talking about your own perversion. Gia strikes me as a Welsh waterhead that weighs north of 250 fucking pounds. Gia might be one of those people that are fucking homebound all day long, can't get out of the fucking easy chair in the fucking living room. I missed my fucking thought here. Let me jump back just a sec or two.
That's not the way it works.
There's that. I mean, you got to understand, there's some people you fuck with, and there's some people you don't. My email is deletelaws@gmail.com.
Sorry.
Sealed by a judge to be admitted into another court and would be allowed.
Huh.
But if you can't, and by the way, I can't wait because when I'm governor one day, this video will come out and they'll say,
Hey, Brother Ram. Good to see you.
I mean,
yeah, Chile started back on YouTube and TikTok, and a bunch of people decided to defame him. He warned them, and then he sued them and got a bunch of them kicked off social media.
That's not the way it works.
That's not the way it works, says Dan. Isn't Dan's sole goal? Hasn't Dan stated over and over again, and at times he stated it to justify that he's covers Chile on a daily basis? I mean, Dan has called me a stalker. Dan has called me a stalker, says I stalk him. When Dan had an actual person trying to physically find me, Blue Bear, BLEW, who apparently gave reports that he was hiding in the fucking bushes across the street from what I believe was my lake house. And then Blue Bear disappeared. Hasn't it been stated by Dan, the stalker of Chile de Castro, several fucking times, that Dan's goal is to get Chile off the internet, to get him off YouTube, to get him off internet, and to prevent him from bringing a legal suit against anyone in the future? Dan, you have failed miserably. You have 100% fucking failed. You're a year into your little fucking get Chile banned thing. You haven't done shit, Dan. You haven't done shit but justify the lies of a very fat fucking woman whose son was killed killed by DEA agents, not murdered like you say, Dan, killed by DEA agents while high on meth, armed with a gun, and got into a physical altercation with the DEA agents. That's the kind of fucking liar that you are, Dan. You want to call Chile out for his lies, but you don't want to call Tina out for her lies. And then when it's beneficial to you for clicks and views, you actually invented lies for Tina Slay to tell to justify why there was methamphetamine in her dead son's system, according to the autopsy, the coroner's report, Dan, which you've never read, Dan. I have, you haven't. You claim to do all these things. It came out with the Fraud at Wrangler stuff that Shiz got the records on. Everything Shiz has now and is reporting on, Dan, you could have had this a while back. It cost $210 to get it. You Scrooge McMoneybags, Dan. You didn't have the fucking $200. You didn't have the $210 to pay to get those records, which would have sunk Fraud at Wrangler's boat long ago, Dan. But you didn't get them because you didn't have the money, because you're too busy buying fucking subs. And now you're too busy buying views. At the end of a live, Dan, you have 400 to 500 views. No one's showing up to fucking watch you. You're buying all your shit. You're buying your subs. You're buying your views. So, how much of the shit you say about Chile is absolutely wrong is amazing. How much you lie to cover up the past lies you've told is fucking amazing. And how you're willing to manipulate facts by taking them out of context is amazing. Your audience is pretty fucking dumb, Dan. But the good thing is there's only about 400 of them.
There's that. I mean, you got to understand, there's some people you fuck with and there's some people you don't. My email is deletelaws@gmail.com. You can reach me there. So you're calling me a rapist? That's great. Where'd you get that information? Where would you have heard of that? Mitten State, what happened to you, beta male? Where'd Mitten State?
Really? Only 350 acres? Small fry. And I'm just ignoring the first part.
Small fry, right? Because Dan's trying to give you the illusion that Dan, big rich Dan, has more than 350 acres. But Dan doesn't know what an accredited investor is. If you got 350 acres of fucking land, man, you got $1 million worth of net worth. Why don't you know what an accredited investor is, Dan? If you had the kind of wealth you had, you would be investing in U.S. securities. Because we are the fucking game. You're Dan, you're literally the shittiest part of the United Kingdom. Wales is the shittiest part of the United Kingdom. It's where the flotsam and the jetsam of the United Kingdom are encouraged to go to disappear from sight. You don't know what an accredited investor is. You don't know much about investing. You make these crazy, like, we're supposed to believe that you own more than 350 acres of land, Dan, because you're not a small fry, right? And we're supposed to believe that you have an IQ north of 180. Oh my God. Oh my God, Dan.
Mitten State is so full of hate, but the truth is that none of you can beat me in a debate. None of you can beat me with my leadership ability. None of you guys can beat me fundraising. I can raise more money than Kate. I don't need to. I'm taking her down. I'm taking.
You
Really,
come
Julie, you
close
never
to
raised that much money ever, or even close.
Neither did you, Dan, or even close to it. It's taken you 6 months running an illegal lottery dressed up like a fucking church bingo raffle to bilk your listeners out of $10,000, according to your numbers, which are probably inflated. Where are the fucking receipts, Dan? Where are the receipts? Show me a receipt dated before July 1st that shows that you donated money to your stated charity in the month of May. You can't fucking do it, Dan. Chile is better at raising money than you are, Dan. And he's more honest about it. Chile is more honest and more transparent about the money raising. As shaky as Chile's is, and I'm sure Chile peels off the top for himself. I'm sure he does that. I don't have proof of it, but my gut says he's doing it. Dan, you don't show any fucking receipts. You're less transparent than Chile. You're less intelligent than Chile. And you don't know how to apply fucking knowledge properly. Dan, look, Chile's more, at the risk of offending Merb again, this could be a Kafka trap. Look out. Step lightly, Merb. The Kafka traps aren't so obvious anymore. Chile is a more honest, upright, and morally intact individual than you are, Dan. You're fucked, Dan. You're fucked. Because Chile de Castro is a more honest individual than you are. He has a tighter weave of moral fabric than your fucking Swiss cheese fishnet of morality is, Dan. Chile has something he actually believes in. You don't have that, Dan. You're a mocker who shits on you. You don't do anything to attempt to help Chile or assist him or help him to learn. You just mock and belittle him. And a lot of your mocking and belittles are just made up shit. You're obsessed with painting Chile in a bad light, while over the past year, he does look better than he looked a year ago. While Dan, you're still the same shitbag, knee deep in fucking mud with just a fucking lie about who you are. You don't know what an accredited investor is, Dan. So you're not one. You live in government council housing. You're on government assistance. You can make fun of Chile's couch surfing all you want, but at least Chile has friends to couch surf with. Dan, all you have is the fucking government dole and a fucking girlfriend an ocean away that the closest thing you have to an intimate relationship with is to masturbate on webcams together with a vibrating mechanical device in place of your limp soldier that no longer will rise to the call of reveille. You're fucking pathetic, Dad.
Close.
Well, at least
How many
not-
weeks did it take him to raise that money for the wheelchair scam?
Couple of months, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At least 1
And
month.
yet, what was it, 48 hours with Kate?
Pretty much.
24.
With Kate, Dan, not with you. You weren't able to do it. See, now you're bragging on someone else's achievement. You tried to do a legal fund griftathon. Oh, that's right. I blew that shit up on you. And then you had to turn to doing a raffle. That's really a fucking illegal gambling scheme. And in 6 months, you built your audience out of $10,000, according to you. Because you've never donated any of that fucking money, Dan. That's the truth. You've never donated any of that money, Dan. That's the truth. That's why you don't have receipts. A lot of that money, Dan, a good portion of that money is fireballed away. Crushing up that anti-anxiety medication, blackout. Fireball. These are drunks and pill poppers. This is why back a few weeks ago, I was talking about the impact that alcoholism, and the impact of alcohol on the ability to make good judgments. good decisions. Look at the fucking miserable shape that Black has got herself in. Hey, Dan, did you dye your hair pink yet? It's halfway through the month. I know, Dan, it's a minor thing, but it's another fucking thing you said you were going to do with the group, and you lied about it. You didn't do it. And now they're all sitting there pink-haired and pink-bearded looking like fucking fools because you didn't do it too. You do this shit all the time, Dan. You say you're going to do shit. You never did it. Where's that Dirty Dancing video that you were supposed to have done with Blue Bacon? That Johnny from the Plot Hole was actually filming parts of it. Where is it, Dan? That's another thing you said you were going to do that you never fucking did. Where's the defamation lawsuit against Chile? You never did that. In this broadcast, you claim that you did it and that the paperwork's all ready to go. Hopefully we'll get to that. If we don't get it to it today, we'll get to it in the fucking future. You're a liar, Dan. All you do is lie.
I mean, 15 grand in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Her down. So she'll oh, Fatty, how'd you get back in here, dude?
Hold on a second. Jam and Jet says at codedfriend.001, just because Chile has something to believe in does not make not delusional. No harm intended. No harm. You're right in that statement. Beliefs can be delusional, but at least you have a belief. Dan doesn't believe in anything. I hope you what does Dan believe in? We've listened to Dan for a year now. What does Dan believe in? Dan believes that everyone is stupid and he's smarter than everyone. That's a fucking delusion. Dan believes that, every government is corrupt and runs everything wrong. That's a fucking delusion. That's a fucking delusion. The idea that Dan is capable of judging the function and operation of a government is crazy fucking delusional. Sorry about that. I am having the house painted, and the dude that is here giving me an estimate just gave a little knocky on the door. Man, I did a lot of painting when I was in college. I don't know if I'm capable of doing, it's all trim shit. Like the siding on the house is vinyl, so it's just the trim work that needs to be painted. It hasn't been done in a while. And I don't know, with my hip fucked up, how much time I can spend on a ladder. So $2,000 just to have the fucking house trim painted. I might actually do it myself. I'm tempted to. I don't want to do the fucking ladder work though. All right, so let's get back on this Dil-Dan shit.
I thought I blocked you, dude. I mean, Fatty Dabby 44. There you go, bro. Go, dude. Go. Fatty Daddy, go do something with your life, bro. Go watch a channel you like to watch. Go watch someone that you enjoy. Jeff hates pigs. DeleteLaws@gmail is my email address, the same as my main channel, DeleteLaws@gmail. DeleteLaws@gmail. That's how you can reach me. DeleteLaws@gmail. Put your username on the subject line, and then I reach back. Raccoon Mama, I've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars in my life. I'm a serial entrepreneur.
A Raccoon Mama reference. Hello to Raccoon Mama 1 year ago. I haven't seen Raccoon Mama in a while. Wow, a Raccoon Mama reference.
I've raised money.
You're a serial con man.
Entrepreneurs don't do fundraising; they give the money they have.
No,
Wrong, Hank. That's a fucking philanthropist. Jesus Christ, Hank's a dumb motherfucker. These guys, just fucking shit that they say is absolutely amazing. Let me hear that one more time before they go into their chilly critique.
The same as my main channel, delete laws at Gmail. Delete laws at Gmail. That's how you can reach me. Delete laws at Gmail. Put your username on the subject line, and then I reach back. I reach back. Raccoon Mama, I've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars in my life. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've raised money.
you're a serial con man.
So Dan, the guy who's running an illegal lottery on a monthly basis, who's never shown receipts for any of this, he's been doing it for 6 months, never shown any receipts, zero transparency, and it's month over month over month. There have been, in the last 6 months, there's been a monthly raffle, lottery, gambling operation. Dan's never shown a fucking receipt for anything. Dan is supposed to be collecting the donations, any donation, super chat, PayPal, buy a membership, anything over $1 gets you entered into the quote unquote raffle, which is illegal in Wales and illegal in the United States. Watch out, Blecka. Blecka. Have a little supply of anti-anxiety set aside because you're going to have an anxious fucking moment in the future. Some paperwork's coming toward you. Serial grifter, that's Dan. That's Dan, Blecka, Hank. That's fucking Shuggy. That's Jim Felcher. They're all, if they're not, they're all facilitating. They're all enabling. They're all accessories to the illegal operation. Blue Bear was too. It's one of the reasons Blue Bear got on the good foot, got the fuck out of there, because being a law enforcement guy and being involved in criminal activity is not a good fucking thing. So anyone there who's promoting, talking about, facilitating, financing the purchase of the prizes, you're all up to your fucking eyeballs. You're as guilty as fucking Dan is. You, if I were you, I would make sure I was getting some of the fucking money before Dan gets caught, because you're going to get none of the money and a good portion of the fucking blame. Just keep, it's an accessory to. That's what we would call in real life, in the IRL, what we would call an enabler. The criminal law and the legals define that as an accessory to. If you drive the fucking getaway car for the bank robbery, and one of the bank robbers, you never went in the bank, you never participated in the bank robbery, you just drove the getaway car, and one of the guys that gets in the car shot a fucking teller because he thought he was hitting an alarm, you up for fucking murder. If that person dies, you, the getaway car driver, you up for fucking murder. You facilitators of that illegal lottery ought to be considering that. 1, 2, you ought to be considering the fact that if there's an illegal lottery, quote unquote, raffle run in April, and then that's closed up and the funds are wherever they go to and the prize is given out, and then a new one starts in May, and repeat the behavior, a new one starts in June. Dan, that's serial. That's regular repeating. That's what serial means. Your criminal activity, minor, yeah, nobody right now really looking to prosecute you for it, but you still committing the same crime month over month. That's what you do, Dan, is fucking serial. And each month, because it's a unique event, opened and closed with donations for that particular time period associated to it, a prize for that particular time period associated to it. Each month is a unique event. Each month is a fucking separate count. There's 6 counts of it. The more you continue on with this, the more the counts rack up. The worse fucking trouble you're going to be. If you stopped it now, you'd probably never get in trouble. If you continue to keep doing it, you're going to fucking set a record of fucking serial fucking conning. And you're going to attract some eyeballs to you there, boy.
Entrepreneurs don't do fundraising, they give the money they have.
No, entrepreneurs are people who start business.
Carte Blanche in the side chat asks, Coded Friend, what happened to the France and Scotland projects? It's really good. It's a really good question, Cart, because apparently Dan wasn't going to be all that available this past week because he had to do all this traveling up to Scotland, over to France, and the references to getting drunk with Shuggy and the amyl nitrate poppers and all the rest of the fucking shit that Shuggy and Dan are going to have fun with. Dan wasn't going to be around. Dan's been fucking 6-hour broadcasts every fucking day the whole time. He missed one Friday night broadcast because he had an important business meeting at 10:30 at night in Wales. That's a fucking hooker. That's a meetup with a hooker. The only business you doing at 10:30 at night in Wales is meeting up with a fucking hooker. What other business transaction is there, Dan? Going to the pub and having a drink, that would be a leisure transaction. That would be recreational. Getting a hooker, that's a business transaction, services and an exchange of money. Come on, daddy boy. Yeah, what happened to the France and Scotland projects, Carte Blanche? It's a very, very good question. There lies too. See, as long as the France and the Scotland projects haven't happened yet, that's what's stalling Dan from getting to the U.S. So if he can push that off and push it off and then a month or two goes by, and then why aren't you in America yet, Dan? Oh, I got delayed on the Scotland and France projects. We gotta get. It's just another fucking excuse. It's just another excuse.
Businesses.
Yeah, they get backers.
I'm thinking
it's an excuse, kind of the way that Dan copied all of Corrections 101 symptoms, ailments, and time off to make the claim that he was in hospital at the beginning of 2023, first quarter into the second quarter. And that, of course, was the 2023 excuse for not fueling up the private Gulfstream Learjet and flying over to America and swooping balding Blecka off her feet and going on a whirlwind tour with what used to be the Welsh News Network Simps and is now the Welsh News Network Bag Holders, which, by the way, Blue Bear got the fuck out of there. Hats off to you, Blue Bear. You didn't wind up a bag holder. Yeah, good question, Carte Blanche. What happened to the fucking Scotland and Ireland or Scotland and France business trips?
Florence
that one.
I would say, Blanche, it's the same shit that happened with Dan dyeing his hair pink. He just talks about shit. He never does it. I would say it's the same thing that happened with the Chile defamation lawsuit. A couple of days to file the paperwork. It's been fucking months. Nothing. Although Dan is now starting to make up new excuses and tell stories about the fucking Chile defamation lawsuit. Come to America, Dan. I'd love to see you, bro. I'll meet up with you. You challenge me to a street fight. I'm game, bro. You fucking 6'4" ticker don't work, dick won't get hard, fucking pussy. Dude, you the bigger they are, the harder they fall. When you go down to the fucking ground, you get a boot in the fucking chin just like everybody else. I'll fight you in the street, Dan. I have no problem with that because you're a pussy, and you ain't gonna fucking show up. What you're gonna do is make fucking excuses. That's all you're good for. Excuses why you didn't do the shit you said you were gonna do. That's you, Dad. At least Chile gets shit done.
Philanthropist.
That's the one.
And if anyone says that was easy for me to say, go fuck yourself.
From dozens of people, from companies. I've raised money so many ways you can't even imagine. You know, I've raised money. I've raised lots of money. So I don't need to raise money to beat Kate. Kate is going down right now. She's going down. No one will take $100 bet. Who will take $100 bet? Will anybody take $100 bet on the 21st? She's done making videos about me. Who wants to make that bet? Is anybody willing to make $100 bet? I'm willing to bet it. And there's 200 people in here, probably 2,000 people see this video. How many people want to make $100 bet? Morrow, see, that's Zane. Make sure you bounce her, Susie. Make sure you always kick Susie out. Kick Susie out, and anybody else who was a frauder like Pandyland. She got kicked out earlier by Todd. Okay, hey Dan, how are we gonna verify that, Dan? Dan Hollis. Let's see who will take the bet. We'll put the money with someone neutral. Anybody want to take the bet? Who's gonna hold the money? Tina Slay, you got $100? Hey Tina, listen. Tina, I know that you just want to be known. Her name is Tina Slay Richardson. Her son was Caleb Slay. Tina,
Chili.
So let's just give Tina, you know, it's not really a laughy thing, you know. I went to go help Tina to get exposure on Caleb Slay's murder. I went there. I was called a racist. And during that time period, Tina had a mental breakdown beyond the pale. She had a mental breakdown. And because I couldn't get her message out for her kid, she then created this idea that I, you know, walked around in a towel in front of her daughter, who she left her daughter with me all day. Tina, it's on video. I showed it. You left your 10-year-old daughter with me the entire time I was there.
Tina
she helped me more
the
than you did,
time
Tina.
You were there.
But Tina can't focus on.
Hank, there's a whole video of Chile putting together a poster board for Caleb Slay, and Tina's daughter is in the room with Chile. Tina's nowhere to be fucking found. Tina comes in at the end of the video and wows the work that Chile and her daughter did. And Tina didn't participate in it at all. And that's a very telling thing. Tina is a celebrity cunt. She's hounding celebrity. She's the cunt that wants to be known. And she doesn't give a shit what she has to do or say. Chile didn't go track Tina down. Tina contacted Chile. Tina contacted Chile. Tina invited Chile to her house. Chile's going to even intimate here that Tina's husband, and it's completely believable because Tina's husband doesn't show up for any of this fucking YouTube celebrity tour shit. Chile's going to relate that Tina's husband would, you know, had intimated to Chile that he wished Tina would let go of the Caleb shit and focus on the living daughter they need to raise. Tina is a neglectful parent who's focused on gaining celebrity for herself through the tragedy of the early death of her son, which it's a tragic event, but it's Caleb's fault. Caleb was high on methamphetamine, coroner's report still in his system when the autopsy was done. Caleb was armed. Caleb was speaking aggressively to the officers. Caleb, while armed and speaking aggressively to the officers, got into a physical back and forth with the DEA agents. Armed, resisting the police, he got himself shot. Wake up, fucking Tina. Wake up, Tina. Tina and her husband were on Ironton Auditor. The one time I've seen her husband appear on anything. They did an interview with Ironton Auditor in April of 2023. Tina was bragging about the law firm she got and blah, 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 and who they represented. And, you know, such and such. Her lawyer was at a concert with Shania Twain. Shania Twain's fucking yesterday's news. He doesn't give a shit about your case. He's recreating. He's hobnobbing with fucking celebrities, Tina. You're just a step on the stool, Tina. You promised, you guaranteed on Ironton Auditor's broadcast in April of 2023, Tina, you guaranteed that there would be a lawsuit filed by the first week of May. What? Tina, you guaranteed it. What, Tina? Lawsuit, Tina? Is there a lawsuit filed? Tina? It's fucking October. May, June, July, August, September. 5.5 fucking months. Guaranteed in April. 5.5 fucking months later, no lawsuits filed. Tina, you don't have a fucking winnable case. Where's the big Nancy Grace expose you've been talking about since fucking March, Tina? Where is it? It's not coming out. Or if it does come out, Caleb's not, you're not going to be in it, Tina. Caleb's not going to be in it because you have a losing fucking case. Your son was high on methamphetamine when he got himself into an altercation with DEA agents that all he had to do, Tina, was sit in the fucking car like he was told to and keep his fucking mouth shut. The DEA agents didn't know Caleb. They didn't want to have anything to do with Caleb. They were dealing with an individual in a different vehicle that happened to be in front of Caleb's house. And Caleb wouldn't fucking follow simple instructions and sit still, which is typical of an individual who's high on fucking meth. Then Caleb got aggressive, which is typical of an individual on the amount of meth that Caleb was on. Tina knew all this from the start because a little over a year ago, in the summer of 2022, Tina was appearing on YouTube channels telling people that she believed that the DEA agent shot up her son Caleb with methamphetamine after they killed him. Then in the second quarter of 2023, Dan came along making up all kinds of new lying excuses for Tina and why Tina's son would have tested positive for methamphetamine without using methamphetamine, all of which was just made up fucking bullshit to protect the celebrity status of Tina Slay, so that the truth about Tina Slay, which is what Dan is helping to conceal. You don't see anyone else on YouTube bringing Tina Slay up to talk. It's just Welsh News Network and maybe a couple of the fucking Welsh News Network fucking ball lickers. No one else is bringing Tina Slay up. No one else wants to hear Tina Slay talk because everybody's figured out by this time that Tina Slay is just a lying fucking hooah who's chasing celebrity on the tragic death of her son, who got himself into a situation where he got shot by DEA agents because he interacted with DEA agents he never had to fucking interact with. Stay in the car, keep your mouth shut. Put the gun under the seat, lock it in the fucking glove box. Don't have it on you. Inform them if they talk to you, I have a weapon, it's locked in the glove box. That's how you don't get yourself fucking shot. Tina's son fucking did everything wrong because he was high on fucking meth and he was thinking like a fucking squirrel that was about to get pounced on instead of like a fucking human being. Tina Slay's son went fucking scramble squirrel mode. He got all sketchy because of the fucking meth he was on. Then he got himself into an altercation with DEA agents, which started verbally because he wouldn't follow instructions and turned into a physical altercation because he resists having his arms put behind his back and in cuffs. He got into a struggle with the DEA agent, but bang, you're done. And now Tina is a victim. If you're a victim, Tina, you're a victim of your son's shitty behavior in society, which is probably a direct result of your sov sit, the government doesn't do anything for the people bullshit. Because then now Tina's, well, the government doesn't care about you. Nobody cares. So, okay, the government cares about the people, right? That doesn't mean Tina Slay gets special attention. It doesn't mean we have to put Tina Slay on a soapbox and hear Tina Slay proselytize about fucking sov-sit bullshit because her son was killed by DEA agents who her son, while high on methamphetamine, kind of insisted on getting into a fucking altercation with, because if he had just sat his methed up ass in the fucking car and kept his fucking mouth shut, the DEA agents probably never would have fucking interacted with him. They were there for someone else. But Dan doesn't have a problem hiding Tina's lies, and Dan's vilification of Chile is directly associated to the vilification of Chile is directly associated to Dan's vested interest in inflating the celebrity status of Tina Slay, which no one in this little corner of YouTube wants to have anything to do with Tina Slay anymore. No one.
Caleb. Because she gets attention. Remember, you guys, you trolls, all you trolls, if you make a video and put my face on it, you'll get 1,000 views on your video. Tina found that out pretty quick. She found it out pretty quick. And
wait, we do? Okay. So all we've got to do is just put a video out with his face on the thumbnail and we'll get 1,000 views per video.
Fuck yeah. I did it. I did it in the beginning of my YouTube career. They're still to this date my highest hit counts on videos. I got tired of mocking Chile, but that statement's absolutely true. If you put a thumbnail with Chile's face in it, you would get 1,000 or more hits. That's absolutely true. That's why Dan to this day is still fucking obsessively milking the Chile hate shit and Dan can't acknowledge that Chile has toned himself down, that Chile is doing a better job presenting himself. Look, I'm not defending Chile. Chile does some really dumb shit, and Chile's got a long fucking way to go. But at least Chile's moving in the right direction, while Dan sits in a broken gamer chair with an armrest-operated pump dildo, which is now off to the side in the room because Dan got a little too aggressive with it and broke the fucking chair.
Yeah, no, that's not how it
Doesn't
works.
seem that way.
then her
It is how it works, Dan. You were too late to get on that gravy train. And then you started your shit little fucking channel, and it's been nothing but fucking Chile, fucking the majority of the day, every day with Welsh News Network. Nothing, but you should change your name to the fucking Chile News Network. You really should change your name to the Chile News Network. And if you were smart, you would have done that a long time ago when you could have capitalized on using Chile's name. You can't anymore. That's why, Dan, you've obsessively retroed back a year to pull old videos to mock Chile, because you can't mock him with the shit that he's doing currently because his behavior has improved. Your behavior is still the fucking same. Your method's still the same. Your idiocy is still the same. And you've been driven back now to recover year-old videos because you have nothing but that, Dan. Nothing but that.
TikTok got deleted. I was sorry to see that, Tina. Tina, how'd you get to 1,000 subscribers on TikTok? Who did that? Tina, who paid for your kids rally? Who paid? Who was it? Who paid for your
Not
kids
you.
rally? That was me. Who built all of the
How do you know, Hank? How do you know? You're just in the background. Oh, my cue card's up. Time to read. Not you. No citation needed, some proof, anything like that. You know, like the proof we showed where Dan got his fucking. Dan's a fucking plagiarist. Dan just steals other people's shit. So Dan wanted to prove Chile wrong about what an accredited investor is. Chile said an accredited investor is an individual with $1 million net worth. Dan went and pulled a fucking opening paragraph summary statement, said, "Oh, Chile's wrong. This is what it is." If you had read 4 paragraphs down, Dan, you would have seen that Chile was right, and you would have spared yourself looking like the dumb motherfucker that you are, saying Chile was wrong when Chile was right, which means as far as identifying accredited investors go, Chile's fucking smarter than you, Dan. There's quite a few things that Chile's smarter than you on, Dan. I'll bet, though, Dan, that when it comes to changing the oil in a diesel engine on a boat, you got a better handle on it than fucking Chile does. I bet you're a better mop pusher than Chile is, too. Because all the shit you say about Chile and the fucking porns, and you don't have any video of Chile in a porn, Dan. That's a fucking lie. You've been lying about that since the beginning. Dan, you haven't accomplished the fucking. Chile hasn't accomplished much in his life, but Dan, you haven't accomplished shit. You want to call Chile a bad actor? Chile did get a part. He blew it, but he did get a part in a fucking regularly reoccurring popular fucking series, The Power Rangers. You couldn't do that, Dan. You couldn't do that. Chile's better than you in that. Then you're a motherfucker sitting in a council house cashing government checks and collecting fucking whatever the British version of fucking food stamps is. And you're mocking Chile's got more. Chile's smarter than you, Dan. He's got more freedom than you, and he's got more hustle than you have. At least that boy's out there hustling. And you can say in the chat, I read the comments, Chile's delusional. He is delusional. He is delusional. He's never going to overturn Terry versus Ohio. Never in a million years. But if he wants to dedicate his life to that cause, I mean, that's up to him. What does Dan dedicate? Dan's dedicated his life to getting Chile off of YouTube. Who's more delusional? Chile's got a better chance of overturning Terry versus Ohio than Dan has of getting Chile off YouTube. And if Chile gets banned from YouTube or leaves YouTube, it's not going to be because of anything Dan did. Dan's a dumb motherfucker.
the graphics for Caleb Slay's rally? Who did that? It was me. Who laid out the entire board of what happened? Anybody? Me. Did Tina help you with that? No. Did she really do anything? No, she didn't.
Did Chile do any of the things he mentioned? No. No, he didn't.
Is Chile Dan? What have you done? Dan, what have you done? What have you done, Dan? Besides run a fucking grift, a serial con man grift, month over month, using the idea of donating money to charities to stuff money in your own fucking pocket. What have you done besides that, Danny boy? Sue me, Dan. You're a fucking con man grifter running an illegal lottery. Sue me. You're a fucking bitch. You're not going to sue shit because you're a bitch.
And this is why we hate the motherfucker.
Sorry, Tina. I mean, it's
One of the reasons.
sad because I really have a genuine affection for Caleb, who was murdered by the DEA agent in like 10 seconds. It's
Okay, that's fucking creepy. He has a genuine affection for a dead young man who he's never met.
I have a genuine affection for a dead young man that I never met, and his name is Christ, Jesus Christ. I have a genuine affection for that fucking man and the shit that he did when he was on the earth as a man. There's nothing weird about that. Dan hears the word affection and it immediately goes sexual for him. Affection just means to have feelings of concern or care about another individual. It's creepy for Dan because the only way Dan can frame the word affection is in a sexual context. Blacka, you watch out, because this motherfucker is a narcissist. His conscience is fucking seared. He lies so readily. I'm going to walk that back. It's not mine to say if his conscience is seared or not. He exhibits the behaviors of a person whose conscience is fast approaching seared. Dan doesn't seem to know right from wrong. Dan operates like a brute beast. If it feeds Dan's belly, it's right. Animals don't have a fucking sense of morality. Men do. If it feeds Dan's belly, it's right. That's the way a brute beast operates. It's not the way a man operates. We'll talk about the morality thing a little more when I go into the rundown with Merb's argument. Merb really wants to make morality a subjective thing. I think that's why he too started leaning on the way he says the word Christian when it's in reference to me. Just Merb, the scripture, the Old and New Testament is the fucking, it identifies the morality that God would have you operate under. It's in the 10 Commandments and the accompanying 603 laws, which is the command. It's not 10 commandments and this. All 613 laws are the command. And if you abide in them, you will live long and prosper in the boundaries of Israel that God gave to Abraham. Nietzsche covered this in great detail when he wrote in the middle to late 1800s. Nietzsche saw the rise of communism. Nietzsche saw the rise of communism, and Nietzsche warned about the death toll that communism was going to bring. And the inherent problem with the rise of communism was the separation of morality from the traditional divinely related morality over to, which we're fully in now. We're fully in it now, over to a morality that's defined not by deity, not by God, but by men themselves. And what a fucking mess the 21st century was. What a fucking mess. The main sport in Europe was Europeans killing Europeans up until 1945, because Europeans gained atomic power and they realized if we ever went at each other like this, the way we have been going at each other with nuclear capable now, if Europe ever went after Europeans the way they have in the past, we're going to fucking annihilate ourselves. That's why we don't fight Europeans anymore. That's why no Germany or no Britain singular or no France rose up after World War II. That's why the mantle of peace had to be handed to America, because we're not Europeans. We're European descent, but we're a different continent. We're not Europeans. Nuclear age, Europeans fighting Europeans is a fucking bad, crazy idea because Europeans don't seem to have much of a problem killing Europeans. There are 139. It's 640. We're going to listen to a little more and then get this wrapped up so
That shit's
we can all make it over to Josh and Wale live.
creepy.
Very much so.
It's a terrible tragedy. The fact that his mom is such a horrible person, it's like, you know, she's literally been dragging their family through the mud for a couple years.
Tina's a horrible person. Okay.
Tina is a horrible person who is using the death of her son to promote her own celebrity. Tina is a horrible person. Tina is the type of horrible person that will just make up lies to insulate her own son from his wrongdoings, major wrongdoings. Use of methamphetamine, carrying a pistol while using methamphetamines, and not being smart enough to tone his shit down when an authority figure told him to sit in the fucking car and keep quiet. Tina is a horrible fucking person. Tina suffered, there's a tragic event in Tina's life, the loss of her son, but that's not to seek celebrity for yourself because of that. Yeah, that's a fucking horrible person. To forget about the daughter you have, the daughter you left all day with Chile, while Chile did work to promote the message about Caleb while you were gone and did nothing. There's a video of it, Dan. Tina is a horrible person. That's why no one on YouTube talks to her anymore except you, Dan.
Nah. I spent a lot of time talking to Tina. Not just about what happened with her son, but a whole range of stuff and just hanging out, chit-chatting, talking bullshit. Same as friends do every other day.
Dan's known Tina less than a year. They're friends now. I don't know, you guys throw that friend word around. You're acquaintances at the best. Dan, Tina spends all day in the tub. When does she fucking talk to you? She only talks when she's in the tub with you. Ugh. That fucking 300-pound mess of fucking cellulite all fucking pruned out. Ugh. But you're perverted and proud, Dan, so you probably fucking like that shit.
Tina's a really nice lady. I like Tina a lot. She's a lot of fun.
I questioned her bath addiction, though.
Wow, Shuggy said something that you could understand. He questions her bath addiction, though. Get it? Get it? Tina's dirty. It's like the Macbeth thing. I can't wash this blood off my fucking hands. You know why Tina's always in the tub cleaning herself up. Because she can't wash off the knowledge that her shitty attitude toward the government is probably her sov-sit shitty attitude toward the government was probably inherited by her meth-using armed son, and then he got into an altercation with the fucking police.
Well, yes, she does like to appear on the internet whilst in her bath. But hey, if that's her kink, that's her kink. Tina is nice. She just is. She's a lot of fun to hang out with.
The other thing about Tina is she can't audit for shit. We know that for a fact, too.
What the fuck does this dumb motherfucker say? Can anyone interpret this for me? I can't figure out what the fuck this asshole says.
If that's her kink, that's her kink. Tina is nice. She just is. She's a lot of fun to hang out
Tina's
with.
not nice. Tina's fucking.
The other thing about Tina is she can't audit for shit. We know that for a fact, too.
The other thing Tina. About all I hear is the word shit
She's
in
a lot
there.
of fun to hang out with.
What is Shuggy saying?
The other thing about Tina is she can't audit for shit. We know that for a fact, too.
What the fuck is he saying? All I hear is the word shit, something about eat. She can't eat all the shit.
Tina, if she can't audit for shit, we know that for a fact too.
Oh, she can't audit for shit. Thank you, Scott Alma.
also
What the fuck is with these marble-mouthed Brits that can't speak fucking English? It's your fucking language. You can't speak it coherently. Marble-mouthed motherfuckers. I know a lot of fucking British people. I know a handful of Scots. I know people from London. I know people from England. I'm able to understand what they fucking say. When I'm in the Philippines, the English speakers I interact with more often than not are Aussies, Brits, and New Zealanders. They fucking, I don't have any problem understanding them. Shuggy and fucking Dan sometimes. Jesus Christ. Smack the dick out of your mouth.
so remember, Tina is also an auditor.
Tina's a frauditor.
Well,
She's audited.
I know it didn't go very well, did it? I don't know who laughed more, her or the cop.
Her husband wishes
Sorry,
she would
Tina.
just stop. He wishes, I sat down with him, had a heart to heart. Her husband wishes she would just stop, raise the daughter they have and focus on the family they do have. Her husband wishes that she would just quit. But, she's got that mental derangement where it has to get attention. She's just a regular troll.
No, Chile.
No, Chile nailed it. Chile nailed it. Tina is an individual that is attention starved. Don't fucking know that shit, Dan. You're the only one giving it to her anymore. You're the only all the shit about the lawsuit being filed, guaranteed by the first week of May. It never fucking happened. These people aren't telling Tina the shit that Tina's telling you, Dan. Tina doesn't have a fucking case. There's no lawsuit filed. There's no lawsuit filed. May, June, July, August, September, half of October. Five and a half months. There's no lawsuit filed. Where's this Nancy Grace Major Network article? It never fucking happened. It's not going to happen. Tina is a fucking liar who lies to get celebrity. What were the results of this fucking meeting to go to Washington, D.C.? Did that even happen yet? Is it even gonna happen? Surely if it had happened, Dan would have done a griftathon for it, or fucking Miss Mandy, the Sandy Vag, would have done it, or Witch of Farts and Mark the Sarcastic Heine High Rider. So all these people do nothing but fucking lie to you. And you throw money at them, give them all your money, get it over with.
What she has is someone murdered her son and she wants fucking justice.
Well, she's never going to get justice for murder because murder is a premeditated act. The DEA agents didn't want to have shit to do with Caleb, so what? They were dealing with the guy who was driving the fucking Casey, whatever his name was, who was driving the U-Haul truck. They didn't want to have to deal with Caleb. They weren't there for Caleb. They were there for the Casey boy. It's not murder. Murder is a premeditated act, Dan. You see, you're doing the same thing. You're talking these sensationalist terms, trying to pump up Tina with some kind of clout. Tina's son was killed. He was not murdered. There's no murder. The officers were cleared of wrongdoing in an investigation. Tina says there are witnesses that were never interviewed, but where are these witnesses? Tina doesn't produce them or identify them. It's all the fucking shit that gets talked over and over again to keep a fucking lie alive. There's no lawsuit going to be filed for Tina Slay. Never going to happen. There's no there's no finding ever going to happen in the future that Caleb Slay was murdered. But here, last night, Dan's talking about the murder of Caleb Slay. Is Dan really this fucking dumb? Or is Dan just that guy who says whatever needs to be said in the moment to protect his blue ribbon pig, Tub Time Tina? You know, because we're taking this fat pig to the fucking fair. This fat pig's going to get us another fucking blue ribbon. Not this year, Danny boy. Not this year. That fat pig ain't worth shit this year.
She is a mother whose child was murdered.
Murdered. Is this dude watching fucking old Quincy episodes? He was murdered, Sam. He was murdered. Fucking damn. Money and murder with dumb Dan. Dan, you ought to get the fucking dildo fixed on your gamer chair.
He wants justice. That's it.
Doesn't sound like it's too much to ask for.
No.
Doesn't like his son. Too much to ask for. Hank, all the fucking words are on the cue card, Hank. Read all the fucking words. So we'll pick this up next time. I have Tuesday, Wednesday off, so we'll pick this up tomorrow at the latest, depending on what time Josh gets done. But he's been doing some long lives lately. They've been funny as fuck. So let's all head over to Stoned Vet. I'm going to give you another Grateful Dead tune on the outro. We are at 3 hours and 11 minutes on this video. We'll bring that up again in the future. I gave you New Speedway Boogie. No, I gave you Easy Wind by the Grateful Dead on the way in. I didn't see Mom in the side chat today. A little disappointed, Mom. I hope you catch this in the replay. The intro was Easy Wind by the Grateful Dead. Bob Weir singing. I'm going to take you out with New Speedway Boogie. Grateful Dead. Both tunes off the album Working Man's Dead. A very good album. We'll see you again soon, kids. Thanks for showing up. Later for you.
Please don't dominate the rap track if you got nothing new to say. If you please don't back up the track, this train's got to run today. I spent a little time on the mountain, spent a little time on the hill. Heard some say better run away, others say better stand still. Now I don't know, but I've been told it's hard to run with the weight of gold. On the other hand, I heard it said it's just as hard with the weight of lead. Who can deny, it's not just a change in style. One step done and another begun, and I wonder how many miles. I spent a little time on the mountain, spent a little time on the hill. Things went down we don't understand, but I think in time we will. Now I don't know, but I was told in the heat of the sun a man died of cold. Keep on coming on, stand and wait with the sun so dark and the hour so late. You can't overlook the lackjack of any other highway you ride. It's got no signs or dividing lines and very few rules to guide. I spent a little time on the mountain, I spent a little time on the hill. I saw things getting out of hand, I guess they always will. Now I don't know, But I've been told if the horse don't pull, you got to carry the load. I don't know whose back's that strong. Maybe find out before too long. One way or another, one way or another, one way or another, this darkness got to end. One way or another, one way or another, one way or another, this darkness got to end. One way or another, one way or another, one way or another, this darkness got to end.
If you get there before me, tell Stone Vet to put the beers away. No more than 2 tonight. Just 2. Drink as much as you want. I do not care. I want to make that clear. If you want to drink a whole fucking bottle and get wrecked and do the rest of the shit, if you want to do shots and beers, do shots and beers. Do whatever you want to do. Doesn't change your behavior doesn't alter the definition. And that's not at Stone Vet. That's just general to everybody out there. You can say an elephant has to be pink to be an elephant. That's okay. You know, I still know what a fucking elephant is. Adios, kids. Catch you tomorrow.